And we're working with the U.S. Air Force right now to create panels and connection details that are very resistant to blast. And so sometime in 2010, we should see a study come out that shows how to improve blast resistance. And here's your residential, but most of it is going to be multifamily. Hollow core is the big thing in multifamily, but we do see a lot of, like these units right here that even has precast demising walls in between the units, the floors, so it's the whole thing is done out of precast. And then transportation, again, a lot of bridges being done, whether they be here's the Des Plaines River Bridge over I-355, and that's where we had 170-foot long spans. They were done in Dwight, Illinois, or a plant near Dwight, Illinois, and went right up 55, but pretty intensely large beams. I think they're 86 inches tall and then 175 feet long. And then parking decks. Parking decks are kind of your standard product that you're going to see done in precast concrete. You got your double T beams, your spandrel panels, and what we're starting to see more and more is mixed use facilities, and also facilities where they're incorporating the thin brick, or they're really starting to make them far more attractive than they were. You know, back in the 80s and the 70s, parking became kind of an afterthought, where it was this, gray box that sat next to whatever the real project was. But that's not originally how parking decks were thought of, and now we're kind of coming back around and seeing parking is included as part of the project and part of the community, and really takes on that look of the community.
I think that picture on the right, Marty, is that the University of Illinois?
Yeah, that's University
of Illinois.
If
any of you've seen that, that's actually a job that we did at our Paxton, Illinois facility. And I'd just like to reiterate what Marty said. From my perspective, as a sales and marketing type, we're seeing a lot more interest from contractors, architects, looking at parking. Parking garages used to be just a place to shove cars in, and they kind of, they weren't very pretty. They were kind of structural, kind of ugly things next to the building. But a lot of these designers now and architects are putting these garages next to these buildings of theirs, or in very prominent locations. So they actually want them to be more architecturally like the buildings that they're next to. So they're being more demanding with the exterior finishes, maybe having multiple colors and textures, maybe thin brick cladding like you see on the garage here. But there's a lot more interest in creating those designs. Yes. Oh, they did. Okay. So you got to see those. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's kind of, typical projects. I've got a little video that I wanted to show you. Hopefully the sound will work on this. Let's find out. That shows you kind of the typical construction. If not, we can just talk about it a little bit. I'm not sure if the sound is going to work. Yeah. It's yeah. I think that it's only getting sound from my computer. Now I've lost my. This is. See, it's on my computer. It's not on that computer. Yeah. All right. Well, we can talk a little bit about it. But this shows you at least what a precast plant looks like. These are all double T's being done. Casting has cured by now, and the pieces need to be. Just to give you an idea of what a precast plant looks like. And this is a double T plant. But there are other types of plants available that do architectural and things like that.
This is showing outdoor casting with architectural. Typically, we're pouring everything inside. It's a little bit different.
So, well, without the sound, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So, oops. It's all double T. It's like a virtual tour of that. Okay. All right.
So long beds that Marty was talking about. You run these long double T pieces, run your pre-stressing cables and so forth that I think Dr. Wilding had shown you, or you had seen maybe at the county. What was the name of the company you went to?
County Materials.
County Materials. But they'll run the cables down the legs of the double T pieces there, as you can see in the forms, and then they'll pour the material in there, finish the top flange and put the mesh in the top, and then actually they'll be able to create different piece lengths from those forms, which they use over and over again. They said strip those panels out, clean them up, and use them over and over again.
So okay, so you know what happens with the double T's in any kind of pre-stressed product is they do start with these wire pieces or steel pieces that are called 7-wire strands, and they've got one piece of strand going through the middle and then 6 pieces of strand wrapped around that. And concrete is great in compression but is weak in tension. And that's why you add this. You add your tension with your pre-stressing strands. You start with a form like this. You put your strand in there, and then you're going to stretch it at strengths of 40 or 50,000 psi. And then you're going to place your concrete in there, and this is going to stretch like a steel rubber band. And you place your concrete in the form. The concrete is going to cure around the strand that's being stressed. The next morning they're going to have the concrete all cured, usually a minimum strength of 3,500 psi overnight, and then they're going to come in, break their cylinders, make sure that everything's working the way it should, and then they'll cut both ends of the strand. Well, the strand is functioning like a steel rubber band, but it's been captured by that concrete. So when they cut the two ends of it, it wants to snap back together. And so now you have a piece of concrete that's good in tension as well as being good in compression. So some of the things that start to make a big difference in the cost of doing precast, the two things that make the biggest difference really rely on the architect to design pieces that are large pieces, as large as you can get, and still be able to get them to the plant or to the job site, because of the construction issues that we talked about before with the crane and all the shipping that goes in. And then the other thing that really starts to make a difference is I am completely blanking on my two things that make it the repetition. Sorry, I had a senior moment there. It's past my bedtime, I guess. The repetition, especially with architectural panels where they're building very complex form, and the more complex that form is, the more expensive it's going to be. So you want to be able to use it over and over and over again, so you can amortize the cost of that form over the cost of the project. So those are the two biggest issues in terms of how much does precast cost to construct. Do you want to add anything else about maybe the process of estimating?